Reaper is the ideal platform for the production of podcasts or otherwise pre-recorded radio transmissions. Let's see why and how to use its features that make it, at this time, the only legally appropriate platform for this purpose. Since version 6.10, Reaper allows you to export Midstream mid-roll tag markers in several formats including FLAC, OGG, and MP3. Midstream tags entered with markers are initialized with the string CHAP equal. With the script I made, you will be able to enter them foolproof. Initially introduced by the BBC several years ago during the definition of the ID3v2 standard for the identification of the title of the chapters for audiobooks, on which there will be a specific tutorial for, the appropriate use of this tag allows you to create what is called enhanced podcast. That's an extended podcast. All audiobook software readers and advanced radio automation systems, obviously the systems used by BBC, Audible, Auphonic, and so on, are able to read midstream tags and then to show to the listener the title of the chapter, which follows the CHAP equal tag. Several platforms are able to do this, such as Instacast, Overcast, Downcast, but here we are interested in broadcasters and radio automations. For example, preface is written in a marker such as CHAP equal preface, and when it's read by the radio or audiobook system, the word preface is shown. By properly using the CHAP equal markers, which are markers to which this name is given and automatically recognized by Reaper as pointers to the chapters, it's possible to enter the required legal data of each song contained into the podcast: performer, title, and in some country also year of production and label. The duration in seconds is also entered, so how many seconds the song have been aired in a region, which is delimited by 2 markers. All this with just one click. A SideCar file in TXT format is also created with the same name as the project. This file must be sent to the radio together with the MP3 of the broadcast. The SideCar is used by some radio automation systems that have not yet implemented the embedded midstream tags feature, such as MB Studio. We will see it in a few minutes, but which allows the correct use of the data for the legal report. Radio automation systems draw up this type of report to be sent to collecting societies, such as SIAE in Italy, SABAM in Belgium, SASAM in France, GEMA in Germany, and so on. Long story short, it legalizes podcasts that contain their own music and allows radio broadcasters to correctly make legal declarations with the required data. In Italy, these fields are mandatory, as can be seen from Article 23 of Legislative Decree 35 of March the 15th, 2017, which refers to European Directive implemented by all member states 2014-26 EU. Broadcasters who fail to comply with this risk fines ranging from 20,000 to 100,000 euros, as seen in Article 41, second paragraph, in violation of the Article 23. Therefore, if a podcast doesn't allow them to comply with this law, broadcasters have the right to refuse it, as well as when voluntarily not adopting the current technical solutions that make it possible to declare the used songs exposes them to the same risk. Therefore, they should update themselves. In Belgium, the regulation implemented by SABAM provides different penalties. There is a penalty of €350 per delayed day in correcting for inaccurate data on the declaration. The correction must take place within a specified time, which is according to the radio license agreement. Each country, therefore, applies the European Directive with civil and/or criminal sanctioning methods, which are based on its own legal system. Now back to Reaper. To use this feature, just install a script I created on purpose. To do this is very simple, just install my ReaPack library. Find here above and below in the description the flash tutorial that learns you how to do it and the direct link to my GitHub where you can find everything you need. Once this is done, install the specific script for podcasts, then assign it to menus and/or buttons. Here at the top and in the description the flash tutorial in case you don't know yet how to do it. I have an open project here with a sample podcast, which I will walk you through. If you like my podcast template, you can find it below in the description. This includes plugins and routing for automatic docking. When you talk, the music automatically turns down. There are several tracks dedicated to various sources, including studio microphones and Bluetooth sources, temporary external sources such as an iPod or any device, and then tracks of the files in use, loops and jingles, songs, backtrack, which is any background music in general for free use and copyright-free. The track that concerns us in this tutorial is songs. Let's listen to these few seconds of simulation.
Podcast example. The speaker is talking now. 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 Podcast example. The speaker is talking now.
The montage of the entire transmission is finished. The podcast is now to be exported, but before doing so, you must enter the data of each song. As precaution, save the project, Ctrl+S or File and Save. Activate the script with the right mouse button in order to arm the action and keep everything active, as explained in the flash tutorial above. The mouse cursor changes, and an A, that stands for armed, is added. Each time you click on the item of a song, this window opens. There are two mandatory fields, title of the song and performer, and two optional fields. In some countries they are required, which are production's year of the release and label or label separated by commas. It also opens a window with instructions, just a memo with useful links. If you omit the required fields, a pop-up will open telling you where you went wrong. Then enter the correct data, title and performer, the year of production and the label or labels, and click on OK. A region is automatically created, which contains all the required data separated by the character pipe just after the tag CHAP equal. The order of the data is the following one. Offset, which indicates how many seconds from the start of the file the song starts. Title of the song, the performer, the production's year, if not given, NA is entered. The labels are separated by commas. Again, if omitted, NA is placed. And the duration seconds of the average song, automatically calculated by the script itself. Proceed in the same way with all the songs in the podcast. In case of any text correction or rearrangement of the position of the song, simply click on the item, make the changes, and give OK. The data is automatically updated also in the SideCar. As said, a SideCar TXT file with the same name as the project is created in the project folder. Opening it, you find the records related to the songs and to the broadcast itself. The songs will be also in the final report for the collecting societies, SIAE in Italy, SABAM in Belgium, SASAM in France, GEMA in Germany, and so on. And other lines that will be shown only to the listener, namely podcast, title, and host. When a song ends right at the end of the podcast, 5 seconds before the end of it, it displayed the pipe, the end, greeted down after the name of the host. Now export the podcast to MP3 via File, Render, Enable Metadata. The markers with the tag CHAP equal and the regions are automatically included in the MP3 from the moment they are present into the project. Anyway, in the template I provide you, all these settings are already set. Once this is done, if you want, you can check their presence by creating a new project in a new tab, importing the MP3 as you can clearly see here. If you wanted to bring them back to the timeline, just activate the appropriate script import item media cues as project markers. Here they are. The MP3 must have the same name as the project and therefore the same name as the SideCar. If you were to change the name of one, you must necessarily change the other as well. Now you can send everything to the broadcasters. At the present time, this is an indispensable condition due compatibility with MB Studio, with whose software house I collaborated for the definition of this standard so that it's easy to use for everyone. It doesn't involve any extra training for radio operators, making the podcast produced in accordance with the law and relieving the broadcasters from possible difficulties with the bodies in charge. Special Audio, the maker of Sam Broadcaster, as well as Centova and other miners, at the time of this video, do not treat the embedded midstream tags nor the SideCar. Therefore, the broadcasters that use them must pay attention to the legal aspect. At least until Special Audio, Centova and so on introduce this feature. Or the transmission of podcasts or anyway pre-recorded broadcasts can cost them quite a bunch of money. Now, let's see what happens to the broadcasters side that use MB or similar compatible software. Here I have a session of MB Studio, it's the demo version. So I don't have the report generator, but I can check everything from the textual log file. The broadcaster imports the MP3 of the broadcast. MB Studio also takes care to import the SideCar file if present. Future versions may be rated the tags directly from the MP3, but at the moment it works with the SideCar. Here's what happens when it goes into play.
Podcast example. The speaker is talking now. 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 Podcast example. The speaker is talking now.
The user on his RTS reads title of the broadcast and host, title of the song and performer. 5 seconds before the end is shown the title of the broadcast and the host, pipe the end greater than, indicating it follows. The most important thing, however, is the report for the collecting societies. Here I show you the CSV that the demo version creates. In the PIT version, there is a special utility that allows you to create an official headed report to be delivered to the collecting societies. See here the 3 songs used, the broadcast date, the airing duration, the labels. Recapping. When the podcast or pre-recorded broadcast is finished, and thus finished montage, through my script you add the data of any song. The SideCar file, which has the same name as the project and therefore the rendered file is created in the project folder. The MP3 file containing the embedded data and the SideCar file can be embedded into a zip and sent to the broadcaster. The rest is done by the radio automation system that will create a law-compliant report and the broadcaster will no longer be pursuable. That's it for the moment. Thanks for watching.